I'm Joey Ament.
I'm Devin Henke, and we're interviewing Ms. Joan Spahr on December 17th, 2019. Our videographer is Will Quincy. So, you were born on August 10th, 1935.
Correct.
What was your earliest childhood memory?
Oh dear, that's hard. Probably when my brother was born.
Can you tell us about your brother?
Can I tell you about my brother?
Yeah.
That's right.
Who's your brother?
Well, he just retired. He was a professor. He has his doctorate. He was a professor, English professor, at the University of Michigan, and he just retired this year.
So, since you grew up in Madison, what was living in Madison like?
I loved it. I miss Madison to this day.
Any fond memories you have from Madison?
Oh, so many. It would go on and on and on. I enjoyed living in Madison, and once again, I'd like to go back to Madison, but I'm very happy in Wauwatosa also.
So, how does Milwaukee differ from Madison in terms of housing, architecture, or culture?
Well, it's so different now. Of course, both cities have grown. In Madison, when I was growing up, it was a smaller town, not that small, but it was a smaller town, and I went to a parochial high school, but all the schools were close, east, west, central, and I went to Edgewood High School, which was the Dominicans.
What was Edgewood High School like?
It was great. Okay.
So, do you remember? So, since you were growing up during World War II, do you remember what Wisconsin was like during that time?
Well, yes, I remember some things, but I remember some things. Of course, I was growing up, so I didn't understand a lot, like the Pearl Harbor and then at the end of the war, I remember we took little flags and we marched up and down Monroe Street, carrying our little flags, and we were happy. And I remember eat your food, because the starving Armenians there are children that are starving. Armenians. Well, I didn't know what an Armenian was. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but I remember things like that. And of course, there was no such thing as television. So we would. I remember. There were no sirens or anything like that, but bomb warnings, and then we'd have to sit next to the radio, and they'd even cover the light that shined out from the radio. I remember that. But those are my memories. And then listening to the radio about bombings, but it's certainly not like it is today. But it was scary because that's all we knew. So those parts were scary growing up. The war, the Japanese, the Germans. And then I had friends that were German, and there were talking about, their parents would be talking about them, and which they had nothing to do with the war. But that's how people were relating at that time.
What was your family like during this time?
They were just a normal family. My mother worked, my father worked. My brother and I went to school. We never had a sitter or anything like that, so we were able to, because we could walk to school from where we were. We walked to grade school and then on to high school.
So, you went to Edgewood Elementary. Do you have any fond memories from elementary school?
Well, this is going to be funny because I certainly have fond memories, but the one memory I have, and I still, because I ended up being a teacher, my one memory is Sister Florentius. I'll never forget her name. And I have to say, I was really a good little girl. I wasn't rebellious, and I just kind of marched along and did my own thing, whatever. But whatever I did wrong, I can't remember, but I'll never forget what Sister Florentius said. Oh, two things. I don't think she liked me. Two things, and not the same day, but two experiences I had. One was I J for Joan. I couldn't get it was like an F, and she said, all right, boys and girls, if Joan Rubidoux refuses to write her name correctly and makes a J into an F, I'll call her now Phone Rubidoux. As an adult, I realized, and as a future teacher, I thought, well, that's a terrible thing for a nun to do. And the other thing she did in those days, and which is absolutely abhorrent, but with the nuns, that's sometimes happened. I did something wrong, and I can't remember what, but I had to hold my hand out, and she hit me on my knuckles with the ruler, wham. And she was a very large woman, and I'll never forget those two things. I am not Phone Rubidoux, and I don't have to have them, but in those days.
So during school, is this where you got your passion for art? Is this what this started?
I don't know. I always yes, probably, because I don't know. It didn't come at a special time, like at 7 years old. Oh, I think I'm going to be an artist. But I loved creating. I wasn't a musician. I wasn't an athlete, although I loved the athletes. But I just, I loved art, and I still do.
What kind of art did you like to create?
Just anything. I mean, well, in those days, I would create different things for my dolls, and I would draw a lot, and color a lot, and create a lot, color creating. I just loved art.
So was teaching always a passion of yours? Or was that a job you always wanted to do?
Well, I just babysat with so many children in the neighborhood. I don't think that I looked that far ahead of what I was going to do with the rest of my life, but I loved children, and I was a very popular babysitter, and I love children.
So
I still do.
Having taught for so many years, how does the school differ from now and when you were a kid?
Oh, there's absolutely no comparison. Well, like I said, let's all laugh at her. Let's call her Phone. That wouldn't be inappropriate now, and it wasn't inappropriate then. And then holding your hand out, so it was physical abuse. Inappropriate then, inappropriate now.
So what was Edgewood High School like?
That was better, but I had to, it was a private school, and we didn't have that kind of money, so I had to work for my tuition, and I certainly got through it, and whatever. But I had to clean on Saturdays. I had to go wash windows, and I hated that. I hated having to do that because my friends weren't working, especially there at school.
Were there any similarities between Edgewood and Marquette currently in terms of being a private school?
Well, as my friend Will knows and his mother knows, I have the greatest admiration for Marquette High, and I just sing its praises forever and ever. It's been a really, I'm so glad that I wish I had more sons to give to Marquette High. No, Edgewood was a good school, but again, the times are so different, and the expectations are so different now. And but the Marquette community, well, of course, I'm a parent now. I'm still a parent, but like I was a student, so but I watched parents, and other parents seemed to be having a good time at Edgewood. Okay.
So, do you remember your father traveling for work often as he was a salesman?
No, not that often.
So you went to University of Wisconsin-Madison. How was your experience there?
It was fine. I went there for 2 years, but then at that time, the School of Early Childhood and Kindergarten, or early childhood, whatever, was in the School of Agriculture. It sounds weird, and I don't know why, But then Edgewood College, okay, grade school, high school, then Edgewood College, which is a very fine school now, but was just basically starting out, but it certainly had the credentials and the qualifications as a college. So then I decided, well, I would be better off going to Edgewood College, which is known, that's what they were. They were for for education. High school, no, well, I don't know if it was high school, but we'll get that on the recorder. So I transferred to Edgewood College, and that's where I got my degree from. So I spent 2 years at Madison, well, at the university, because I still lived in Madison, and then 2 years at Edgewood College where I got my degree.
So was the reason for your attendance at Edgewood University to further your teaching career? Was that where you started?
Yes, because I figured that my degree, not that my degree wouldn't have been as good from Madison, probably might have even been better, but it was just that it was in early childhood and the younger children, and that's definitely what I wanted, because I love the children, little children. Well, I like big children too.
What was life like after college?
Well, I got married. I mean, yeah, I graduated in June, and I got married the following February.
So, what was your earliest memory of Milwaukee, having grown up in Madison?
I hated it.
How did Milwaukee differ from Madison in terms of housing or culture?
Well, I don't know so much housing. I just, it was a hard time, just, and I was married, but then I still wanted to go back to Madison. In fact, I know I've told Joe and Will that when I got married, my husband was working on his doctorate in biochemistry, and he took off that semester. Well, we married in February. He took off that semester and came down. We lived on Prospect. So then he got a job looking into a microscope for 12 hours a day, 8 hours a day, whatever. And he absolutely hated it. He hated it with such a passion that he said, I can't go on. I can't do this the rest of my life, looking in 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, whatever. It's just not me. Well, okay. Our plan was that he'd go take the semester off, then we'd go back to Madison, and I'd get a teaching job in Madison. He'd continue his doctorate, yada, yada, yada. Well, that didn't work out because he just couldn't. And this is his, I mean, there were two of us. It was his life. I couldn't say, well, I'm just going to leave you. I mean, I didn't marry a degree and a doctorate. I married a man that he was fine. But he just couldn't stand it, and he missed his friends. And he had played football for Wisconsin, and he grew up in fact, I'm getting kind of off the subject here, but I just have to go back. When he was in high school, I was a freshman and he was a senior, so I knew who he was because he was a big time jock, and he was class president, and he was yada 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 yada. So I didn't even know him. So he was very, very popular. And well, not with the freshmen, but he was popular. And he had a lot of friends in Madison. So now both of us grew up in Madison. Both of us, I had my friends, he had his friends, and so we were going to go back, and that was going to be a good thing in life. So he just couldn't do it. He said, I've got to get another job. So then he became an insurance adjuster, yeah. And he was very much of a people person. So he found he liked it here. And the more he liked it here, the more I hated it here. I wanted to go home. I wanted to go back to Madison. But I never did.
Were there any specific reasons for your displeasure of Milwaukee?
No, because I miss Madison. I mean, literally, I can't put it any other way. I didn't hate Milwaukee, and I loved the school that I was in. I was at Tippecanoe School on the south side, and I made good friends there. And but it was just, no, I didn't dislike Milwaukee. I just wanted to go to Madison. I wanted to go home.
Well, what was your favorite restaurant in Milwaukee?
Oh, wow. Harold's. It was a restaurant on the far south side, and I loved Harold's. It's no longer there, of course.
What kind of restaurant was Harold's?
Huh?
What kind of restaurant was Harold's?
It was, they had great steaks and, should I say, martinis? Yeah, and martinis. And just, it was a small place, but just nice people and people to laugh with. And yeah, it was just one of those, it's a small place and no longer there, but it was a good time place. It was fun every Saturday night.
So do you have any fond memories with your friends from that place?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So,
But most of them, I have to say it, but so many of them are gone. So many of my friends have passed away.
So what is your favorite attraction in Milwaukee?
Well, I think that whether I'm Democrat, Republican, or whatever, it doesn't matter. But I think it's going to be exciting with the convention being here. I think that's going to be. I'm glad I'm not living down in the east side, but I'm kind of excited about that. And I love the zoo. I love the art museum, and the zoo and the art museum are probably my favorite, and I'm looking forward to the convention. Even the confusion, it's a happening.
So did you take any liking of any certain pieces from the art museum?
No, really, I loved going there. It's enchanting. Yeah.
What about the art museum did you like so much?
Well, I like the displays. I like the paintings, and then once a year, I didn't do it this year, but I work for the flower display I volunteer at that in the springtime. And it's just so. The structure, but the paintings, yeah, and the sculptures, and just the cleanliness, and it's such a peaceful place.
So after college, what was it like finding your first job in Milwaukee?
Easy. I mean, I just interviewed, and I guess they needed teachers at that time. I really didn't have any problems at all.
How was it teaching in Milwaukee versus your experience is in Madison?
Well, I've only taught in Milwaukee, so I can't compare. But I loved my first school. I loved Tippecanoe. Annie Schwibke was my principal, and I taught all over the northwest side of Milwaukee. And then I I ended up subbing, and I found everybody said, "Oh, subbing, that is so difficult." And I loved it because it was so challenging. You'd go in, and you'd have to, you never knew what the children were going to be like. You never knew what the group was going to be like, so it would be like, I open the door and I say, "Okay, it's showbiz." So we have to, and you never knew what the principal would be like or the faculties would be like. And I found it challenging and exciting, and I made many, many friends when I was subbing, because I'd go to so many different schools. And then if I really was happy at a particular school, I'd take a long-term assignment, like for 6 months or whatever, or not, well, maybe not 6, well, yeah, 6 months, but pregnancy leaves and stuff like that. But then if I didn't like it, I'd be, no, I'll call the sub-office and I'll tell my dispatcher.
So do you have any fond memories of students at any schools that you taught at?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't even go into them. I just, absolutely. One of my favorites last year was Gianni. And Gianni was practically as tall as I am in K4. Right? Not quite tall, that tall. But Gianni was, had a few problems. But you know, sometimes you can touch the right button. And Gianni and I became, in fact, now he's in first grade. No, I think Gianni's still in K5. And now he's just about as tall as I am. And still, I have a thing when I leave every day, I tell the children that you certainly can always say no, but when they're lined up to go home, then I give them a hug, a goodbye hug. And if you say no, I say, that's all right, I certainly understand, but I still love you. And I give them each a hug. Well now, because he's practically as tall as I am, Gianni's still, Mrs. Spahr, he could knock me over. But Gianni is just one. But then there were Michaels, and in my first year, I can still remember the different ones in my first year.
So you mentioned that you moved into an apartment as your first living space after college. Do you have any interesting stories or experiences in your apartment?
The fact that we had to go up 3 flights of stairs. And I did it every day, 3 flights, top floor, on Prospect. We were really, it wasn't that long between, that was from September to February, so it wasn't that long. My girlfriend and I had the apartment together. Well, it was 1 bedroom. It was a teeny place, but we thought we were cool.
Is your apartment building still here, or still standing?
I don't think so. It was an older home on Prospect. And
so, what was it like living during the Cold War in Milwaukee? What was the atmosphere like in the city?
With Father Grappi at that time, you mean?
Yes, that time period.
Oh, it was frightening. Absolutely frightening. It was, yes, very frightening. And there again, I was teaching, and schools were being integrated. And just like even, I think maybe I told Joe and Will about the one time when I lived on 95th Street, I looked out the window, and then by then I had the two children, and I looked out the window, and that's when the police cars would go past, would check her tape on the back, and my neighbor across the street was, I saw him dive into the bushes, and I'll never forget that, and I'm thinking, my God, where do we live? Because we weren't supposed to be out on the street. And so he's diving into the bushes, the police car's going with the tape on the back, and it was horrible. And then the Father Grappi and the march across the bridge, and it was so sad and so scary. And you really thought, well, it's worse today than it was going on today. It was worse then, but it was very scary.
So, did you ever come into contact while you were teaching with the Milwaukee United School Integration Council, or music?
No.
No?
I don't know when I'm not even familiar with that.
Okay, so I'm guessing that you didn't teach at any segregated schools, or nothing of that sort?
No, there weren't any no, there were not, no.
Okay. So
There really, there was not segregation. It wasn't like that was you going to a black school. No.
Okay. So when you moved to Wauwatosa, how was it different from Milwaukee?
Well, I, I don't, that's hard to say. I just, it didn't affect me that much. I mean, I had a home then, as opposed to apartments.
So why did you choose Wauwatosa to live in as before any other?
Well, we looked for all of our friends, most of our friends were buying in Whitefish Bay. And we went to Whitefish Bay and looked and looked. And it was my decision because Whitefish Bay had lovely homes, but there were no yards, very small yards. And I wanted, because that's one thing I had in Madison, I had freedom to, it wasn't just, here's your home and this is it. Okay. And I wanted my children to live in a home that they could play in the backyard and they could go up and down the streets and they would be safe. And so then we would start looking in Wauwatosa. And then I found practically, I don't know, not the first home, but we really like this home that we found, our first home. But basically it was because there was yard space for the children to play, and I'd feel they were safe and not playing on the sidewalks, whatever. The Whitefish Bay was beautiful and still is. But I love Wauwatosa.
So what was it like living near Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Oh, there are so many stories about that I could go into, but one of my favorite is that, and Will knows, have you ever been upstairs in my kitchen? Okay, all right, or in the family room. So you sit in the sofa in the family room, and now this didn't happen every day, but it happened enough that was, and the other thing I'll tell you too. But then would he be jogging, he'd come, not every time, but with a little girl on his shoulders, so he wasn't going at top speed, but there he goes, and and that was fun thinking, oh, look how tall he is, because you can sit in the sofa in the family room and you can see him. But then when my kids were growing, they were little, and so I always said, you absolutely, when Kareem Jabbar, said, you are absolutely, you must call him Mr. Jabbar. It's not hi-ho Kareem. It's not hi-ho Dr. this or hi-ho Mr. that. It's Mr. Jabbar. You're not to say anything about Kareem. And if anybody asks you, where does Kareem live, just say, I don't know. Who? I don't know. I said, that's exactly how it's going to be. You don't go ask him, can we have your autograph? Can we see your shoes? Can anything. Don't bother him. He has his right and to his privacy. And they were really good about it. They just kind of, okay, big deal, But the cars they do the same thing to me if I'd be out. And I did do raking in those days, and yard work and picking up stuff, especially black walnuts. Anyway, hey, where does Jabbar live? I said, who? No, but he was very private. We didn't have any coffees, and we didn't have a drink together or anything. It was just, he was private, and I told my children, you're going to be punished if you don't respect his privacy. It's not a hi-ho Kareem. You respect him as you respect everybody else.
So do you have any other stories involving Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
No, just that he had the fantastic, because after he sold to, they became good friends, and then they got divorced, and I haven't seen them since. But anyway, they would have parties there, and that place, the door was like 10 feet, the entryway door was like 10 feet tall, and it was a beautiful home. But Will doesn't know, because then after, you probably know, but after, so a doctor from Whitefish Bay, a doctor and his wife from Whitefish Bay bought the home from the next couple, but in Laura. But anyway, then they were not in the home I didn't even get to know them. If they drove past, I waved at everybody, but I wouldn't know who he was. And maybe after 2 years, he just died. He died suddenly. Now wait a minute. No, that wasn't what happened. Yeah, that because after Bud and whatever had the home, they bought from Kareem, and then they came, and that's what was so unusual. They raised that beautiful home. Who knows why? And then they built the home that's there now. The doctor and his wife, and he lived there for 2 years, and then he died, and then she left, and now the people. I think that people live there now are the people that bought from the doctor that died. But they raised the home. So Jabbar's home with the 8-10 foot doors and the beauty on the inside, it's gone.
So do you have any more things to mention on that topic of the house?
No, just that it was beautiful and that he deserved his privacy, and I think everybody was very respectful of it. He always waved. Hi, Mr. Jabbar. But he was very nice. He did his thing, and we did ours.
So what was Milwaukee like when the Bucks won the NBA championship in 1971?
Well, I'm a football fan. So I'm excited about the team this year, but I don't get that, and I don't remember that much about. Yeah, I like basketball, but I don't get that involved.
So, do you have any stories on the riots that happened in 1967?
Well, again with Groppy.
Yes.
Well, I just told you that how frightening it was, and how my neighbor jumped into the bushes, and I thought, what is happening in our world? We're not even. But compared to now, where are you safe any place? It seems minor.
I think, do you want to take a break right now?
No, I'm okay. Do you want to take a break?
Yeah, I think we should take a break for a second.
Okay, I'll just sit here.
All right.
Take your break.
Okay, so we left off talking about the riots. Do you remember how the city reacted to the riots?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, I had 2 little children at that time, so I mean, I always tell that one story about Don jumping into the bushes. Well, there was such discontention. Yeah, it was. I don't remember. There was violence, I'm sure, and all I can remember Father Garappi and the bridge, and but still through it all. Now I don't know if I'm blacking it out or what, but I still was teaching, and I'd still go to school, and I wasn't that fearful. Maybe at night I would be fearful, but it was just a scary time. I know my husband was an avid hunter, and I would be the one. I always said that, well, good luck, because I'll go through the fields going, go birdie, go birdie, go birdie, go birdie, go birdie, go, and because I just don't like guns and I don't like killing, and even to kill a deer is just absolutely, oh my God, and to kill pheasants, I just don't like it, whatever. And so during the riots, he said, "No, I'm going to teach you how to shoot a gun." And I said, "No, I would never." And he said, "No, you have to have a gun." And and then he told me that I had to, if someone tried to break in our home, then I would have to shoot. And I said I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Well, that just was just really scary to me. That we're at the point of life that I'm supposed to have a gun, and who's going to break into my home? But there was, but again, I can't go back, and I still was teaching, and I don't remember anything with schools like Well, it's not like today with the, I can't, because I've done it, getting it into the closet, not the closet, well, yes, the closet, the washroom, with the little ones. And we'd all sit, we still, now, tomorrow night, whatever, when the alarm goes off, then you get immediately, the doors get locked in each room, and we take every room, you have to now, because you just don't know. That's why I said it was bad, but now what today is going on is tragic. I mean, these little ones we're all sitting there, oh, shh, shh, we have to wait, shh, shh, shh. Oh, you're doing such a good job. Oh, you're being so quiet. It won't take that long. And then teachers said, it never took this long. You think it's for real? And I said, no, it's going to be just fine. Could be today or tomorrow or yesterday it was, or whatever. So it was bad, but again, I don't even think about that I still taught every day.
So did you and your family or your kids have any encounters or run-ins with rioters at all?
With who?
Rioters at all during this time?
Riders?
Yes.
What do you mean by riders?
People who are rioting.
Oh, rioting. I thought you said riders, like motorcycle thing. Okay, no, you've never, but that's your game, that's fine. Rioters, no. We lived in Wauwatosa then, so. Well, that doesn't mean, same thing, go back to say, well, you just said your neighbor jumped into the bushes because the police car with the tape. No, we never saw anybody rioting.
Do you have anything else you would like to say on this topic?
Well, as sad as it was, this isn't that important, but it is kind of, as I reflect back on what we went through and how frightening it was in many ways, has nothing to do to compare with what we're in society right now. It's absolutely tragic that young people, as you, little children, I volunteer every week with 4-year-old kindergarten because that's my kid fix, because I still have to have my little ones. And we do, hiding in the washroom, doors locked, lights off, huddled up. And you still, even today, I think, this is so sick. Society is just, it's so sad. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. And the tragedies. So compared to the riots, today is so much worse, I think.
So you would say that Milwaukee is now currently more violent frequently than it was back then?
Oh, yes.
Even with all the...
Oh, yes. I mean, children, it's not like, but it doesn't happen if it's not every night. If one child, she's watching TV in her bedroom, and the bullet comes through the wall and kills her. I mean, we're all aware of what's happening in Milwaukee even right now. Oh no, the riots were very frightening, and it was bad, and but no, today is much worse.
So, what changed about your life when you had kids?
Everything. I mean, everything. You become, just everything changes. You're responsible. Your life changes. They're your life. And making sure that they're safe and loved and cared for. And everything changes.
So did you keep teaching consistently as you did even with your kids?
Yes, for a while. And then I went, and then maybe, I think when my son was maybe in, I don't know, maybe 3rd grade. Then I went, no, maybe even later than that. Then I went to subbing. And then I thought, in fact, I was going to take a break, and then I went to subbing and that's when I found out, I like this. I like the variety. I like the challenge of being with different faculties, different principals, different children. And when the door opens and they come in, you have to immediately find out, okay, where's the problem? Where's the problem? Delegate your energies to softly getting to the problem right away. Yeah, probably maybe third grade. They weren't that old, but then I didn't. And then I had the ability to refuse if I didn't want to go, or take a day off now and then. But I loved subbing.
Did you have any like family picnics you went to, or any events that made you guys go to Milwaukee?
Oh, sure. We'd like to go to that. Well, it wasn't in Milwaukee though. That park outside between Madison, Pinnacle Peak, or something like that. And well, we did things with friends and their kids, and yeah, I'm not thinking of any particular, like a park that we like to go to picnic. No, we had a lot of parties at our house, but our park, not really. I mean, we went to the zoo, but not for picnics. We went to the zoo to see the animals. No, not really. But we did have picnics. We did stuff like that.
Yeah, just like any events in Milwaukee. You just
Oh,
go
to the circus parade? Oh, sure. We went to the circus parade, and we'd go down onto North Avenue and wave at the 4th of July parade. Yeah, we did stuff like that. Take our chairs down there.
What was the circus parade like?
Oh, it's cool. It was really great. Yeah.
What kind of attractions and all did they have?
Ernest Borgnine was there. And then they had zoo animals, and it was, I don't know, maybe it was just the time, because it was something that you looked forward to it. And the kids looked forward to it. And so you go as a family, and that's why with children, everything in your life changes, that's what I mean. It was all the world turned different, you know. You're a family, and you want their lives to be happy and structured, and them to be able to fit into society eventually. And they did.
So, do you remember attending any ethnic festivals at Summerfest, or just going to Summerfest?
Oh, sure. I used to work at Irish Fest, volunteer, of course, at Irish Fest, and we always went to Festa Italiana and German Fest. Went to German Fest. I like the festivals. Yeah.
Do you remember any specific stories from German Fest, Italian Fest, or Irish Fest at all?
No, just that we had, no, not really. I mean, like I said, I had volunteered at Irish Fest, and then German Festa, and then I have a Polish friend, and then we'd go to Polish Fest, but we just go there and enjoy. I mean, so we drank a beer or something. It wasn't anything outside of Irish Fest working there.
So what made you enjoy volunteering or going to these festivals?
Just going to them?
Yeah, what made you enjoy them?
Well, just because you see it would be something special, because you'd see your friends and you'd see lots of different, I don't know, creative ideas, depending on the ethnic, because they'd be following their ethnic base. And so you'd see something like, I'm not that into Polish Fest that much, but I learned things about Polish, not a lot, but you'd see everybody. You'd see so many people. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in ages. What are you doing? Da 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 da. And talk. And I like that.
So did you ever attend any music festivals at Summerfest?
At Summerfest, yeah, I can't remember who that was. And the one my favorite was the one at Miller Park. Oh, come on now. Ah. A guy, a man. He's so well known. I'm trying to think of his song. I can't think of his name. You know it right away, but I can't think of his name right now. But that was really a concert. He went on it for like a couple hours. Oh, with the guitar and oh God, he was good. And he's still singing, but I can't remember his name. But it'll come. On the way home, I'll be screaming his name out. And I can't remember who I saw at. Yes, I did. I saw somebody one. No, I saw two. I went to two concerts at Summerfest, and one. Oh God! And one that I love. I remember so well. Born in America. You probably don't know the name. That's what it is. Well, Born in America. Oh well, maybe it'll come. Yes.
Do you recall seeing the anti-aircraft missiles at the Summerfest grounds?
No, but I want to do that. That's when the flyover and everything.
Well, there was a missile array station there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was thinking of the flyover of the.
Well, on that topic, do you recall anything eventful that happened during the Vietnam era?
No.
No. Okay. Do you remember the Vietnam protest at all?
No.
No.
So like the 60s, everyone knows is more when people were, there was like a bunch of hippies, and they always said peace was the big motto, right? Do you have any experiences with, people fighting for peace?
No, I mean, I agree. They should, you can demonstrate if that's what the hippies were fine. I mean, they were doing their thing. Demonstrating for peace, go ahead. I mean, not my age, I'm not going to be out there with them, but I'm certainly going to be for them.
So was there anyone you knew that was sent overseas for the Vietnam?
For Vietnam. No, I don't think for Vietnam. No,
Was there anyone you knew who was sent overseas?
not for Vietnam.
Or any conflict?
Oh, well, going back to my husband, but that was like, that wasn't even a conflict. In fact, he played football for the Army, and he always told the story of the invasion of whatever, and they marched on the beach, and the girls were in bikinis, and it was just, what war was that? I don't know, but it wasn't, or skirmish maybe. It wasn't like Vietnam, no, and certainly, but.
Is there anything else you'd like to say in regards to that?
No, but I'm trying to think of the guy that.
So, getting back to teaching, with your extensive career in teaching, what is your current opinion on Milwaukee schools?
Well, it's very difficult. They're very difficult, extremely difficult. From a central office on down, it's just not. They're very difficult.
You mentioned how you feel that the times are a lot safe, or a lot less safe now. How does this relate to teaching at all in terms of your students?
Oh, well, just like I'm saying, well, not only, okay, like I'm saying, with the not black, I can't think of the right word because the guy with the guitar, and the right word, but, the fact that you have your 4-year-olds and they're huddled in the washroom and the doors are locked, and in darkness, total darkness. Not only that, but what they encounter. Last year, last year one of our little girls was killed. I mean, and this is the neighborhoods they come from, and they can't escape. I mean, I mentioned the little girl that was playing with her nephew or something, and the bullet comes through the house into her bedroom. So yeah, imagine these children, what their lives are like before they go out the door to go to school. It's just so frightening. I mean, they just, and what might they, not now, certainly not everybody come down, God knows, they don't come home to that, but to live in areas like that and then to come, it's so sad. Because you really never know. Every night there's something. Every night. And now there have been children, 2 little girls on Center Street. Was it Center? Yes, I'm sure it was on Center. 2 little girls out of, how about that mother? 2 little girls. It's just so sad. It's so scary. And that, how do I feel about with the children? That's how I feel. This is what they're living with. So you make their days together. Like tomorrow I go to, and we make gingerbread houses with graham crackers and everything. And so they can take their gingerbread house home. So make it as happy a day as it can, because you never know. And that is not everybody. That's not everybody at all, but it's just a scary time.
Do you believe that you substituting for these schools that are in these neighborhoods helps these kids in any way?
Do I believe the schools do?
Well, the schools, you, the teachers, the faculty?
Oh, absolutely. The teachers are, yes, they're trying so hard. They're devoted. They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't that devoted. Yeah, yeah. They're trying so hard. But it's getting more and more difficult, and from central office on down, it's becoming harder. So much more is expected of them besides teaching. But no, they're trying so hard. They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't aware of the problems. And sometimes parents will cooperate, and sometimes they won't. You know, you can call and call and call and call. And then if not so much special needs, because they're pretty well taken care of that area, but if parents don't call, then the therapist, try to get the therapists in there, and it takes time because there's so much need for therapists and special help for these children. Yeah, so it's becoming much more difficult. And so people that are going into teaching are dedicated. They know what they're getting.
So how do you feel poverty has affected these kids' situations in school and learning?
Well, I think, poverty has always been around. I mean, so it affects them to a degree, but that's bad. But the violence that has never been around like it is nowadays, that is affecting everybody.
So how do you feel violence, or what do you think causes more of the violence that we see present nowadays?
I don't know, and I wish if we could find out, it would help people. I mean, not 4-year-olds, but young men and women and whatever. I don't know what to say. I don't know what's causing it. If we could find out a reason to help early, then that would be, we could eliminate some of the violence at least, but not for every single night. We all know, we're sitting here Just turn on the TV. We've had a 23-year-old, a 19-year-old, two 17-year-olds, 28-year-old, da-da, and driving like maniacs, crashes. What causes it? I don't know. Who knows?
Before moving on to another topic, just anything else you want to say about that?
No, just that no.
Okay.
Because I just don't know what to say. I've said what I can, how I just worry about society, and if we could find an answer, or if we could just hug everybody, give them a hug when they go home. Just don't be afraid, and hug each other. Don't be afraid. Well, don't, I tell them, but we never kiss, because kisses are only for family. Oh, kiss me, Mrs. Spahr, kiss me. Oh, no. Kisses are only for families. You don't, I don't kiss, I give hugs.
How would you describe your multiple different household situations, from moving from an apartment to a house in Wauwatosa? How are they different? How are they similar?
Well, it's a natural progression of life. I was thrilled. I was moving to a house. You know, I had enough apartments. I mean, I dealt with them, and that's fine. I wasn't miserable in the apartment, but it was time. And the children will be on the way soon, and they were. And it was just a natural step in my life, in anybody's life. I was happy that I was able to make that step, have that, to be able to afford to live in a home.
Was
with
your
a
house,
yard.
Was your house modern at the time, or?
No, it was just natural. It was on 95th Street, and it was two bedrooms and a living room, dining room, den, kitchen, basement with a built-in bar down. That was very nice. A built-in, a lovely bar, and good for parties, lots of parties, and a yard.
So, do you remember what the time was, or what it was like when the Apollo missions were around?
Yes, I remember, but I wasn't into that much. I mean, yes, like the man on the moon, everybody was, but I didn't get into space and aeronautics and stuff like that.
Do you remember seeing any things on the news or TV about that at all?
Oh, sure, it was on. That was, yes, absolutely. But in my mind, I didn't make a note that I can reflect back on that. It didn't make that much. Don't want to say that I wasn't interested, but like I have my memories of, like I said, jumping in the bushes, and the march across the bridge. Yeah, those made an impression. That was the time.
Was there anyone you knew who did take quite an interest in airspace at all?
No.
No. Okay. So, do you have anything else you'd like to say about that?
No.
So, how did what kind of job did your husband have at this time?
Oh, he opened his own. Opened an insurance agency.
So, what was it like for your family with you teaching and your husband working? What was that like for your children?
Well, it seems that they're happy adults, and I think they're fine. If not, well, it's a little late.
Did being a teacher and being surrounded by children, because you've taught little kids your whole life, did that help you raise your own kids?
Well, I hope so. Yes, it affected my life because I saw how I had to deal with children and not to be soft-spoken and never to ever, well, of course, but who knows? In those days of Sister Florentius, never violence, but discipline. And I always say that discipline is one of the greatest forms of love, because unless a child is disciplined, they don't know how to be respectful, they don't know how to fit into society. So discipline is very important. Never be afraid to discipline your child, but do it in a strong, gentle way. But discipline, discipline, discipline. And even in school, I always say, no. You know, after somebody gets punished, well, do you know what you've done wrong? You made a bad choice. It's up in your brain. When I come to school, especially when I was subbing, when I come to school, your school, when I come through that door, I want to be the best teacher that I can be. And when you come through that door, I want you to be the best boy or best girl that you can be. You've got to make good choices. It's all in your brain.
So, how do you think teaching has changed over time with advancements in technology and also changes to the way teaching is done?
Oh, it's like night and day. It's just, there's no, I could go on and on and on. No, there's nothing.
So, do you have any specific experiences with witnessing a long period of teaching over time? Do you have any specific experiences that you remember that changed teaching drastically?
No, I think it's just part of the good part of society that we're more aware of each other, and then well, we should be, but I think that that's changing, that we're more sympathetic of other people's needs and their stations in life, and just listen to other people.
All right, so how was your son's experience at Marquette?
The only person that loved it more was me. But no, he did very well, and as Joe knows, because his father was in the same, get this right now, your father was in the same class as Michael. No, he did very, very well, and he played football, basketball, and baseball. But he enjoyed it here, and I loved it here.
Would you consider yourself a very active member of the Marquette High School community, like back then?
Oh, back then, I was telling the guys on the way here, and I'd want to get off in a different direction, but back then, the 4 years that you and Michael were here, they had what was called Parent Faculty Follies, and it was a show. Father, I can't remember what I can't remember what his name was. Anyway, and so you could volunteer if you wanted to do it. And I thought, well, I have no talent, but I thought, oh, that looks like it'd be kind of fun. So I did, and I was in the show for 3 years. It was on for 3 years, and I don't think maybe they still have it. I don't know, but and it was the faculty and the parents that volunteered. I was all 3 years. I was in the show, and we had a blast. It was so much fun. I've got so many wonderful pictures of. I don't know if you remember heard the name of Father Doran. He was principal well, anyway, it was a long time ago, but it was such fun. And then athletically, they won the state championship. I think all three. I know they won it 2 years in a row, maybe all three. Football, and of course the parents. We just had such fun, and then those are great years. And the guys would come down and we'd party at our house, and I don't keep in real close contact, but I'm on Facebook with a lot of them. And Tim Williams went to University of Michigan and played football there, and now he's on Facebook, and all these guys their kids are in college now. So, it was great. It was great. I loved every moment of it.
Was your son's experience almost as amazing as your own?
Well, he did quite get, I mean, it was two different areas, so he didn't get quite as enthusiastic about if I was prancing around on a stage someplace or what, you know, flipping around and going to these parties. But the thing is, I made such good women friends and family friends. We did so much together as parents.
Do you have any friends to this day still that you remember from back then?
Oh yes, definitely, definitely, and we all agree. We had more fun than the boys did, and they all got through.
So do you have any fun stories with your son at Marquette?
Oh, there's so many I couldn't even go into them. Yes, I have so many. The worst story that I have, though, and I'll start with, because there really are so many, I wouldn't even know what to pick out, but the worst one was that he was a pitcher for Marquette High, and it was the night before graduation, and it was for the state championship in, just say, Oshkosh. It was someplace out of wherever. Anyway, the game went on and on and on and on. I don't know how many innings. And was it Brightash? Was there Rick Brightash? Or no, maybe he's retired. Oh, everybody's retired. And then Bobo Brzezinski, whatever. Anyway, it went on. Well, literally, it went on until like 1:30 in the morning because it didn't. They just kept tying, whatever. So, and Michael, you could see he could hardly anymore. And I'm not a screamer, and I didn't scream, but I said, God, take him out, take him out. He has nothing left. He has nothing. I'm saying this to myself. Well, they never took him out, and he could hardly stand up. And now it's the night before graduation, so the next morning is graduation. And we're up in Oshkosh, it was someplace like that. It was Oshkosh, or maybe it wasn't Green Bay. It wasn't that far. So anyway, they never took him out, and he was absolutely exhausted, and so was I, because we didn't get home until like 2:30 in the morning. And anyway, but we made it to graduation. But it was like, that's one of the worst, one of the only experience that was. And I remember saying to the coach, "Oh God, please take him out. He has nothing left." And they lost, and they didn't win the championship. So that's my sad story.
Did you have any? Do you ever have any? What was it like when your son played for the football team and they won the state championships?
Oh, fantastic.
Do you have any stories?
Well, probably left untold. We partied pretty hardy.
Was your son considered super popular?
Well, I don't know about that. They always said they thought he was funny, and they called him Spike, and I'm thinking, well, I don't think he's funny at all. I don't know why. What he does around the guys, because where does this humor come in? He's not that humorous around the house. He's a good man, a good boy.
So, what else did you like about the Marquette community other than the athletic side of it?
Oh, just the everything. I mean, the camaraderie and the interest and the support, and you really felt that if there was a problem, it would be addressed immediately. I just loved it. I mean, I thought that the priests were so. I just loved everything. I really did. I mean, I was so impressed, and I just always, like I told Will's mom, and where's he going to high school? Marquette. I said, oh, they turn boys into men. And I very respectfully say that, because I do think that you're very lucky, all of you, to get an education here, because you're not only getting academically sound, but you are becoming men, nice, responsible men. And it's the Jebbies, I just think they do a fantastic job.
So how do you feel Marquette taught your son for future life in college and beyond?
Well, I don't think that he comes, he doesn't, that's why I said he doesn't seem that funny to me, and he doesn't expound that much on things. Like, if we'd have this discussion, he'd say, "Get off it, Mom, that was a long time ago, for God's sake, what are you talking about?" But I think that in his own life, he must have patterned many things on his education, but not that he would come and sit here and talk about it. He'd probably be saying, "Get her out of here," you know. But I think he's happy that he had, and he has 2 girls, so he doesn't have the opportunity.
So is there anything else you'd like to talk about Marquette?
No, just how much I truly feel. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the first one that has said it, but I truly feel in my heart that they the Jesuits turn boys into men, and also that those years, those 4 years, were some of the best of my life, because I made so many friends and I had so much fun. I really had fun.
All right, so your daughter went to DSHA, right?
Well, yes, for 1 year.
How was her experience there?
Not good.
Not good? Why not?
Well, many reasons, but she had some problems. She went to West.
Would you say that Marquette is superior to DSHA?
Oh, God forbid, of course. I mean, there's no comparison. Good Lord. Okay. Oh, my Lord. Marquette High is better than my Edgewood.
Oh.
Well, that's Madison, but still, off my head.
So she went to West, correct?
Well, she finally went to West.
Was that a better experience than DSHA?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Just a kind of. She got through.
All right.
So do you still visit the art museum often?
Not as often as I used to, because I don't like to drive down there and the expressway, and not as often as I used to. But I still love the art, and I still like the flower. No, I can't think of the name of the flower show. It has a special name.
So, do you teach art to your students often?
Well, because I'm just volunteering now. But tomorrow I'll be making gingerbread houses with graham crackers and frosting and candy canes and gumdrops and chocolate chip. Very creative. And a mess.
So, what kind of subjects did you volunteer or substitute teach for at your schools?
Well, I taught kindergarten, so that limits you to just teaching. I mean, you don't have, now we're going to math, now we're going to science, now we're going to art, now we're going to gym. Well, yeah, they went to gym, and well, sometimes they haven't. But not on my Wednesday when I'm there, I just volunteer and read stories and work with them, and like my Gianni, my big boy.
All right, so well, on a more negative note, what was Milwaukee's atmosphere following the 9/11 attacks? Did that have any effect on Milwaukee at all?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I'm just going to interject this in, that I was teaching in a long-term at Engelberg School, and I was getting ready to go into school, and the TV, the TV was on, and then I saw this plane go through the building. I said, "Oh my God! Oh, isn't that horrible? Oh my God, that poor pilot, he must have gotten so confused." I'm thinking of all of this. And so I get in the car, and then they're talking about it on the radio, but nothing had really happened yet. Well, maybe whatever. And I walked in the office at Engelberg, and I said, "You guys, I saw the most horrible thing." He said, "Joan, don't say any more. It's a catastrophe. It's horrible. I said, well, it was a little tiny plane. Did the pilot get? No, no. And then she said, the building is coming down. What building? What are the Twin Towers? And then we're all, the teachers, before the kids came in, well, then, so we're all at the TV going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so then the children, some children started to come, but then parents were coming in and taking their children out of school, taking their children out of school, everybody was absolutely hysterical. And that was one of the most frightening days because you didn't know. And then the plane crashes in Pennsylvania, the plane crashes at Washington. Then you thought, what is our world coming to an end? It's coming to an end. And the horrible stories about those gentlemen in Pennsylvania that took the cart and raced into the pilots, whatever, and the plane goes down. It was horrible. It was just horrible, 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 horrible.
Do you remember any citywide responses to this at all?
Well, not in particular, because everything was a response, and everything was horrible. And that's only thing anybody could talk about, because what's going to happen next? It was just so horrible, horrible. And then the towers, and then watching them come down, and then the chaplain, the fire chaplain, dying, and then bringing his body out, and oh God, it was just, this memory is horrible. Yeah, and I'll never forget that. And the parents were just so hysterical. Oh no, my baby's not staying here. My baby's, no, come get your baby.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about that topic?
On that topic?
Yes.
No, because it could go on and on. Yeah, it's just.
Well, before we wrap up, thank you once more, but is there anything else in general you want to talk about?
No. I thank Will for asking me. I hope that I've answered them honestly. I don't know what else to say, but.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, it's been my pleasure. And go Marquette. No, go Hilltoppers.
Yeah, go Toppers.
Go Hilltoppers. And now, I guess then that's it. Okay.
Thank you.